Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. Hope you guys are all well on your Thursday evening. On this week's show, the big match preview, we'll be looking back at a very, very big 3 points over at Bolton on Tuesday night, and of course ahead to Saturday's home game with Shrewsbury Town at the Valley. Joining me this evening to talk about those two games. First up top right, Mr. Nathan Miller. How you doing, Nath?
Living the dream, mate. A big shout out to those joining us at 7 p.m. and not the other mob, by the way. Know where your priorities lie. No,
yeah, I don't know who they think they are, the football club.
No, but it's all good, mate. Good win on Tuesday, but nice to see you both.
Yeah, and you, of course, as Nathan is referring to, there is something else going on YouTube this evening, but we were unable to move away from our 7 o'clock slot to a later one so that we didn't clash with it because Tom wants to watch the Traitors at 9 o'clock, don't you, Tom? How you doing, mate?
Fair enough, innit? I mean, even if I wasn't, I don't think I'd bother tuning in. Unless now they go and sign someone for like 20 million or announce we're expanding the ground or something. I don't think anybody's going to be missing much.
Just on the Traitors, I still haven't watched yesterday's one, so don't spoil it for me, please. Cheers. Thank you.
This is the problem. Imagine if you'd have missed today as well.
Was it on every night?
No, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
That's still way too much, but anyway. Right, on this week's show then, as I said, we're looking back at the win at Bolton. We're going to hear the goals shortly. We're going to look ahead to the game with Shrewsbury. We're going to hear from Nathan Jones as well, I forgot to mention. We're going to look ahead to the Shrewsbury game. I do have an interview recorded with a Shrewsbury fan, although the system's playing up again as it was last week, so I'm not sure if we're actually going to hear it at any point. But we might do, but we'll definitely hear from Nathan Jones a couple of times on transfers as well as looking ahead to the game. Good evening to everyone who is joining us live in the chat. Good to see so many of you with us. Sam's first one in there saying, unbelievable result on Tuesday night. Yes, we weren't great, but we stuck together and managed to take the 3 points we needed to stay in touch of the playoffs. Keith's in there, John's in there as well. Pete, John, Robert, Paul, good to see all of you and many, many more. Get your views in on Tuesdays when you can email us studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or you can add a live comment to the chat. Nate, just before we hear the goals, I mean, we're 1-0 down sort of 10 minutes or so into the second half. I'd say even with 70 minutes on the clock, it didn't really feel like we were going to go on and win it. But I mean, that is pivotal, that is, because if we lose that game, we're in a very, very different situation to the one we find ourselves in now.
Yeah, exactly. I think the first half, from the get-go, they're a good footballing side, and you struggle to get the ball off them, and your shape is so key. And then, yeah, and as you say, when they scored, I could only see really one outcome, that it was going to peter out and then maybe get a second. But fair play to every single one of them, and the changes that Jones made was completely different. They didn't have Ricardo Santos. Sousa shoved those people like Chuks and etc. on that pitch. You knew they were struggling with set play. So, and when we got that one back through from Lloyd, he was like, "Whoa, we could." I was like, "I'll take that. I'll take a point." And then obviously Karoy pops up, the old the evergreen Karoy from the goal scorer in Rick Roy and Addicts. But no, as you say, unbelievable result. Looking at the next fixtures, but how many times have we said you've got to back it up now? Because you win these next two games, depending on results, you're literally flirting with Mrs. Playoffs. And that could be very dreamy, but we'll take one step at a time. But yeah, as you say, unbelievable performance after Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment we're just in the talking stage with Mrs. Playoff. Hopefully she won't be ghosting us again, as she has done throughout the years. Right, let's have a listen back to the goals from Charlton TV. Steve Brown was alongside Terry Smith and Charlotte Richardson.
Utilise Edwards' speed now as the offside flag doesn't go up, and this is a golden chance for Aaron Collins. He squares it, and that is the opener to the new signing, Joel Randall, who finishes off the attacking move for Bolton Wanderers. We spoke about spaces opening up and spaces being exploited, and that is exactly what the home team have done, charging down the right-hand side. It's the man that Bolton has spent money on, and he scores his first goal for the Wanderers. Bolton 1, Charlton Athletic 0.
Yeah, and it's Collins. The awareness of Collins, and I talk about anticipation, the awareness of Collins that he sees build-up play and he leaves his marker a long time before that play develops, which is why he's in acres of space. We get caught again, not defending well enough behind the ball.
Back to Gillespie. Sends it into the penalty areas. Runners in now. One of them is a touch coming in! And it's Lloyd Jones who gets the equaliser for Charlton. Lovely ball into the box by Gillespie. Jones timed his run perfectly and slid it home.
Centre half to centre half. You don't see that too often, I've got to be honest, but that is a delightful ball in from Gillespie. I love the way Anderson got to the ball once it went out of play, threw it really quickly to Reg. It goes back to Gillespie, and because they took it that quick, we were still had players forward from the original set piece, and that is a beautiful delivery from Gillespie into a great area. And finally we have a centre half on the move, or we have somebody in the opposing box on the move away from their man, and he's gone for it with the outside of his right, which is very unusual because probably the right technique was inside of the left, but he gets a lovely little deft touch on it, Jones. Past Southwood, he can't react. 1-1, and now there might be a little bit of pressure on this home side.
Headed away. Campbell hunting this, as is Anderson. Anderson with a lovely nudge into his own path, takes a shot! It's taken a deflection and it's gone in! The Addicts have a 2-1 lead. A lovely nudge from Anderson in the penalty area, gave him the room. It dropped kindly for him. He takes the shot. Huge deflection off the Bolton defender, loops over the keeper and into the back of the net. And the Addicts, with 6.5 minutes left, have taken the lead here.
I did tell you. Listen, this is what happens when you come somewhere and they're under pressure. They were literally in cruise control, 1-0 up and dominating the game, and that equaliser has absolutely knocked the stuffing out of their performance. They haven't looked anything like the team we saw for 70 minutes. And although we hadn't created much ourselves, you just felt like if we could pressurise their backline and their goalkeeper a little bit, there may be something else for us. But that's just wanting the ball more. Anderson knocking his man out the way, getting to the drop ball and volleying it towards goal. It was a fortuitous nick that beat Southwood, but I don't care, you don't care, the players don't care. We're 2-1 up. Can we see this one out? It'll be a huge result and a massive turnaround.
And a huge result it was. The Addicts holding on then for all 3 points up at Bolton on Tuesday, Tom. I mean, just purely looking at the fact that Bolton was sitting above us, so there's that. You know, there's the points that we would fall behind them in hand. There's the fact that we were terrible on Saturday, so we needed to recover from that. The fact that we were probably terrible, maybe not quite terrible, but we were pretty poor for a fair chunk of Tuesday night as well, that we had to recover from. So all of those things flipping on their head in that last 20 minutes, I mean, I just don't think we can overstate how important that is, because I mean it just gives us something to cling on to for the rest of the season, and we're still clinging on to that race. Just
you look at what we would have been saying on the podcast had we lost, and we would have written the season off. I think when that goal went in, probably we were writing the season off, because I don't think we've come from behind to win a game all season, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, when that goal went in, everyone thought that was it, you know, and anywhere on social media you could see it. That was the season done. Now, mathematically, of course, it is only those 3 points or 6 if you're sort of counting the swing with Bolton. But the momentum shift and the way it was feeling, it did feel like that could be the case, particularly after Saturday. But I disagree slightly with Brownie in the commentary there. I thought after they scored, we did look okay and we did really push. All right, we didn't create a huge amount of chances after that, but I didn't think the goal came as that much of a shock if you watch the game, because we were trying to get forward and we were trying to get in the right positions. And I was like, okay, maybe we will. I think my bias against that was, as I say, the fact we haven't come back to this point to win a game. But actually, that equaliser felt deserved. And then I thought when we kicked on from there, obviously to go and get the winner was a shock. And maybe that's a bit smash and grab. But I didn't think we deserved to lose the game, because I didn't think Bolton created an awful lot either. Ash obviously made a couple of good saves and I was impressed with him. But yeah, I think the character from that side, Nath obviously said it at the weekend, put that same 11 in and make them prove to Jones that actually they're better than that. And that's what Jones did, and it paid off. Whether they did go out to whatever it was that Benji was suggesting they all did, go out on the piss or go to Pop World or whatever, I don't know. But whatever they've done, they obviously had the time up there together to sort themselves out and show a bit of character, which is what we want from this group. And yeah, it's a huge victory. But as Nathan says, we've got to now back that up with the home games we've got. I think, is it 4 of the next 6 or something? We've got a lot of home games coming up. A lot of games Saturday, Tuesday as well. So potential rotation needed. And we've got to just keep this momentum going now. And as Nate says, then we can flirt with the playoffs and maybe get lucky.
I couldn't decide if obviously result is more important than performance overall, Nate. But I mean, if we'd come back for a 1-1 draw there, I think I would have been a bit disappointed with the first hour or so, and you know, what was the reaction to Saturday. But the fact that we then went on to win it and showed a bit of nous and, you know, some substitutions that came on and worked. Karoy scoring, it was obviously not something that happens too often. Chuck's making a big difference, as we know he can do. I just think that outstrips the fact that the performance as a whole for an hour wasn't that great.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the first hour wasn't great, and I think it changed when Nathan seemed to change his shape, because the first half they were getting overloads in a lot of places, especially in the midfield area, and we had a back three which weren't really doing much because it didn't really have to usually have a spare man, and you weren't able to get Mitchell or Gillespie into the game centrally to try and create another overload. So when he changed it up, it seemed that we did have a little bit more joy when he brought Karoy on for his sort of energy and stuff. So, I mean, I would have taken a point just simply because we didn't play that well. We started getting into the game, but I was looking at the sort of game changers and going, right, well, we're going to need like a bit of something, or like a bit of luck or a bit of magic. And just that, you know, Bolton are a really good team, but as Brownie said in the commentary, they look nervy, and obviously we got the win in the end. But I think we were talking about the result earlier. Not only is it a big result in terms of, you know, potentially going on a little run again, version 5 or whatever we're on, but it would be interesting to see if it would have changed the owner's perspective on the transfer window, because now we're that little bit closer. Do they look at it and go, oh, we might have a little bit of a go now? Because if we lost, I'm not saying we were completely out mathematically, but you would have required a hell of a lot of points per game, which I think we was talking about the other week, to get into those playoffs. And would they have gone, well, we'd rather save the money for the summer or whatnot? I don't know. So that would have been interesting to see if it sort of perked up their ears of the owners and going, well, we ain't that far away, chaps. So I suppose we're only going to wait and see come, the 3rd of Feb or whatever. But yeah, big result. And after 60 minutes, yeah, it wasn't great. We sort of went into that sort of early season form where we weren't really creating much, but we were just resilient, which after Saturday we needed to be, because we weren't resilient in the slightest.
Patrick said, at 1-0, I still thought that it was a game that we deserved a draw from. I didn't think Bolton had done massive amounts to deserve the 3 points. Sometimes you don't play well and get a turn of luck, and we had that. Scott says some serious character on Tuesday. It's a fantastic reaction after Saturday's performance. John said, I didn't think we were awful on Tuesday. Not great, but not awful. Yeah, and Paul, I mean, as Nathan said, as well as tactics, there was obviously substitutions that made a big difference there. Paul pointing out Jones finally out substituting the opposition. It was the death knell for Ian Evatt's tenure, of course. Yeah, I don't think we've even mentioned that Ian Evatt got the elbow after the game. He got a stern turning off from Lloyd Jones as well, which I enjoyed. So if anyone, I still, so if you've seen the video clip, Lloyd is sort of, they have a bit of an argument, and then Lloyd's sort of simulating a thrust of the head towards Ian Evatt, which I think was a little throwback to when Ian Evatt sort of thrust his head into a Shrewsbury player, ironically, earlier on in the season. So I think Lloyd was like, "Well, are you going to do that to me, are you?" or something like that. That's what I think was going on, but that was very funny. But yeah, the substitutes obviously made a big difference. Tom, Chukwuemeka doing what he does. They looked a bit nervous when he came on. Karoy, did what he had to do and got the goal, and he earned the goal with that out muscling as well.
Yeah, and if we had one or two criticisms of Karoy, it would be keeping his foot on the ball, and it would be his strength. And he managed to do both of those there to get the goal. And yes, it was slightly lucky, and it took the deflection. But as you say, he's got to be there. He's got to get into the box, which, again, we haven't seen a lot of from any of the midfielders, really. Berry probably the one who's done it most. But Karoy puts himself in the right place, as you say, holds the ball up well, has some strength and finishes it. And yes, it was a bit lucky. Same with having Chucks back. Obviously, you're going to throw him on when you're 1-0 down and see what he can do, but comes off the pitch unscathed and as you say, can just scare defenders by even being there. But also, let's not forget that the ball in is from Gillespie, who I certainly was calling for to be substituted over Mitchell. And obviously it was Mitchell that got taken off, and he's the one who puts the ball in for Lloyd Jones as well. So even the players that have been on the pitch that whole time, like those two in defence, were the ones who then contribute to the first goal as well. So, as I say, we've got lots of games coming up. We're going to need a squad, and we're going to need to be able to rotate. And certainly, I think the Preston game, we made a couple of changes, didn't we, with Gas starting? And okay, it was against better opposition, and actually we played okay, but losing that game. So we need to be able to feel like we can rotate and we can put players in. And we've seen Karoy start games and not really deliver that much. Obviously, Chucks isn't going to be starting games anytime soon, but if we can rotate and have a little bit more confidence in the likes of them, the likes of Matty Godden, maybe if Leeburn needs a rest or TC, just gives us a few more options. As Nath said as well, he had to change the shape that second half. So we need players that are capable of doing that as well. So coming into a busy period, that we need to be able to do that. And there were players off the back of Tuesday night who you look at and you go, okay, maybe I can trust them a little bit more now. And the likes of Karoy, I think has done himself no harm going into a busy period, because we're going to need players like that.
Macca, stuff. Yeah, you mentioned the cross from Gillespie for the equaliser, and a great finish from Jones as well. It was a pinpoint cross from Macca, and I mean he was getting dog's abuse in the first half online, because then when he gave the ball away a couple of times, so it's nice to see he sort of atoned for that with that wonderful pass for the goal. A couple of good points being made in the chat about the potential red cards as well. So Tomasen in the first half, I mean, he should have had a second yellow just before half time. And then Matete towards the end, I mean, clearly stamped or stood on Thierry Small. And Mark's asking if he got a yellow card. So there was a yellow card in the incident. Now it comes down to whether the ref saw the stamp. So he could give him a yellow card, but it might have just been for an argument or a push and shove. If the ref didn't see the stamp, and therefore can say, well, actually, I didn't see that, so I've given him a yellow card for something else, then it is still in play that could get a retrospective ban, which it sounds like the club are sort of suggesting might need to happen, because I think Nathan Jones has said that the club have sent some observations in on that one. But if the ref's seen it and said, oh, that's a yellow card, it's only a little stamp, then there's not much more you could do. But yeah, it certainly should have been down to 10 men. I mean, a side very much in their manager's image, or their former manager's image, I have to say, obviously with Ian Evatt now having left. But he loves headbutting people, and his side seems to enjoy stamping on Thierry Small.
Yeah, I feel like even that first, the second yellow, if he weren't booked, that's a yellow. Like if he wasn't booked already, that was a straight up yellow, but no ref will bottled it because it was just before half time. 1,000,000%. And the second one, just a coward, mate. Like you don't even see that Sunday League. You don't see that. I know you get some ruffians in the Sunday League, but that is just pure cowardice. And it's like we had one already this season where the guy, I can't remember who it was against, when they just literally swiped TC. But that one there, literally just stand on it. That could literally not only hurt, could do some real damage, And it's like, if the refs looked at that and go, no, yeah, I think that's a yellow, then I'm going to the moon, because it's like, well, nothing's ever going to get better, no more obvious than that. There's the ball's not even there. There's no reason for that guy to do it, just to be, apart from frustration and being an absolute twerp. But at the end of the day, I'm not a big believer of snitching and stuff, but it's just bang out of order. And if it was the other way around, none of us would condone it. Like, maybe some rose-tinted Charlton fans would, but there's no need for that. That could be really serious and just a bit cowardice for me, and it's just a bit of an idiot. So hopefully something happens, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Robert said the subs did make a big difference on Tuesday. Glad to see that Jones didn't wait too long to bring them on. Now, I guess the way the game was going, he had to make changes, but also, Patrick saying how did we think we sort of looked fitness-wise after that third and final game of a long 3-game stretch on the road. Tom, obviously the fact that we went to the end. Don't forget that Bolton were there for the taking as well. We spoke a lot about the nervousness that we wanted to try and inflict on them by going a goal up, but actually the same way it worked out by getting that equaliser and bringing Chucks on and maybe being a bit fitter, as suggested there in the comment, it was there for us to take. And Karoy, and as a side, we went and did that.
I feel like every manager we have always says when they come in that the team's unfit, and then after summer they always say, "Oh, we're the fittest team in the league. We're the fittest team in the league." I'm pretty sure Jones said it this summer, but I think for the first time in a while it actually does ring true, because I don't very often see us looking tired at the end of games. It's something I've spoken about a lot on here, and obviously I've already said it tonight about the need to rotate when we've got a lot of games coming up, and I do think we're going to have to because of the amount of games. But at the same time, he's picked that same 11 a lot recently between, early December and now. I don't know exactly how many games we've played and how many it's been the starting 11, but it's been pretty solid. And they're not looking that tired, are they? They are still pushing all the way to the end of games. And when you're on a good bit of momentum and you're winning games, that can be maybe easier to do because that carries you through and you've got the positive momentum and that character amongst them and the sort of squad harmony and all of that. But when you're coming off the back of a couple of defeats, that's maybe not so easy. So when you go 1-0 down at a team that, as you say, are as good as Bolton can be, you could easily see that really having an effect on them and really making them head slump and sort of draining all the energy from them. But that didn't happen on Tuesday night. We kept going. And as I say, if anything, for the 10, 15 minutes after their goal, I thought we looked probably the best we've been in the entire game. Again, like somebody said in the comments, not brilliant, but certainly not bad. And then obviously got ourselves back into it. So whatever Jones is doing has worked. I do think the team are fit. I still do think we're going to need to rotate, as I say, because there is a lot of games coming up. But that can get you a long way in this league. And we've just got to try and scrap our way out of it any way possible, right? We've spoken about that, for however many seasons now, 4 or 5. You've just got to find a way to get out. But actually, fitness can carry you a long way. We've seen it in lots of games. We don't have the ball a lot. You think of that Birmingham game. The amount of work we had to put in, both in terms of concentration and in energy, shuffling across the pitch to try and defend against a very good Birmingham side, that takes a lot of energy, and they're just doing it week in, week out. So I can't think of many games that we've lost and it's just down to energy. And obviously that's only one part of it, but if you can get that right, it can carry you a long way.
Right, so 1 defeat in 8, won 4 of the last 6, Nath. Over those 8 games, we've put together a 1.88 points per game, so that's the sort of rate. So just so you have an understanding of the run we've just been on, in order to hit the average playoff points over the rest of the season, you have to go at 1.78, so marginally less than what we've done over the last 8 games, but obviously it's easier to do it over 8 games than it is to do it over 28 games. So we have to stick with the sort of run we've been on over the last 8 games for pretty much the rest of the season. That's why I keep trying to highlight that it's not going to be easy to get into the playoffs, but it's easier than it would have been 6 games ago when we hadn't won 4 out of our last 6. So the task is a lot. It's 4 points off with a game in hand when you look at the league table. That's one way of looking at it. But when you see what we've got to achieve, it's not easy. So no one can get carried away here. We've set a level over the last 2 weeks that we have to try and exploit now, with 5 games in a row now against sides in the bottom 10, 4 of which are at home, and we've got pretty much a fully fit squad. This is when we absolutely have to continue this run, this 8-game run. You have to turn it into a 16-game run.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that's where we need to be. I think what I'm going to do is instead of I know where we've got to try and be, but to try and break it down, try and break the remaining games into little blocks, which a lot of other people do. So maybe 6-game blocks or something, because it's hard to. So if we say like, oh, for the rest of the season we've got to do that. As right now, I'm going right. That's a challenge, but that's going to be a challenge for probably everyone other than Birmingham. So it all depends on who if we get anyone in, who we get in. I would be amazed if we don't get anyone in now that the people that have left, be that in transfers or loans. So I think it's about getting a different kind of player or giving us something different, because we know we're resilient. We know we're hardworking. I just think we need a little bit of spark, a little bit of flair, a little bit of a, what's the word? The maverick, I think the word that used to come out. But I just think that's all we need. So it's going to be difficult. But like we've said all season, I thought it was going to be a lot more tougher this season, as in the league, than it actually is. You've basically got Birmingham and maybe Huddersfield, Wrexham-ish. So everyone can beat anyone. So I'm confident, but as you say, I'm not getting too overhyped about anything. I'm just literally going to break it down to little blocks and focus on the next few games, because the next few games are the key ones. The next 5 for me, then I'll probably start looking at it a little bit better towards the end of February.
You're on mute, Lou.
You're on mute, Lou.
Sorry, I'm having all sorts of problems with the system today. I'm sharing my screen to show you the matrix of the results, and it's not showing very well because StreamYard's having a bit of a mare at the moment last couple of weeks. But Patrick's saying, am I right in thinking we can afford to lose 2 games every 6? Now, I wouldn't go that far, but so of the next 21 games that are left to get to the playoff sort of rate, you need to win. You're looking at winning 11, drawing 5, and losing 5. That's why I'm saying it's tough, right? When you see it written down, it's tough. Maybe you could lose 7 if you win 12 and only draw 2. That's the sort of level we've been at. Okay, so don't forget over the last 8 games or so, I think we've won 4 of the last 6. We said, and in the 8 games we've drawn 3 and lost 1. That's the sort of rate you got to keep on going at. So you can't afford to lose many games, but you also, even too many draws, Tom, are where it's at. So just highlighting how difficult it is just to see it again written down. That's what I'm saying. It's not an easy task. And good runs, like for anyone, unless you are one of the top teams in the league, good runs tend to have like a beginning and an end. They don't tend to last for 2/3 of the season when you've had a really poor first third of the season. So that's why I'm keep pointing out it's going to be tough. That's the task they've got ahead of them.
Yeah, and realistically, 1 or 2 teams a season probably does a run like that, right? You do see a team come from deep in the league and make it into the playoffs. And at the moment, we're not that deep. There are teams that do it way, way lower. Obviously, Orient have been on a great run for a period of time as an example. But in previous years, you've seen, I think, was it Lincoln a couple of years ago, or maybe even last season, made a real run up the league. So it is possible, but really it's only 1 or maybe 2 teams that does it. I guess the question is, why can't that be us? One season, it has to be us that does that if we want to try and get promoted. So there is nothing that says that we can't do that. As you say, the run that we've just had in the last 6 games, we have still done that. So there isn't anything to say we can't continue it, but it's going to be tough because at the same time, that sort of start of the season also happened, and that was also us. So it's not going to be easy. But as you've both said, the run that we've got with the home games and with the opposition that we're playing, they're the games that if you do want to get promoted, you have to win. It's not a case of wanting to or thinking that you should. You just have to win them. And if we do come out of that period and we have won the majority of them and we have snuck into the playoffs or we're level on points with the playoffs or whatever, then you bring that graph up again and suddenly it's completely transformed. So it's a big deal. I think we said it a couple of weeks ago as well, going into these games. This is a massive period for us now. Bolton was probably one of the better ones. I know we've got Birmingham coming up in February as well. But there's a lot of teams that are down at the bottom end of the table that are coming up, and we just have to get results against them. Shrewsbury, a perfect example this weekend. Okay, they've got Ainsworth in now. They're not bottom of the league anymore, but they're still down there, and they're a team that are coming to a team like us who are on a good run of form, albeit last weekend aside, and we just have to go and beat them. It's as simple as that. And if we don't, then maybe we don't deserve to go up. And that's no disrespect to them. It's looking at where you are in the league and what you want to achieve. So yeah, it's not impossible, but and it's going to be tough. But just results like Tuesday just switch the whole mentality around how you are as a fan. And so now I'm going into Saturday thinking, okay, let's win this and see if we can get anywhere near the playoffs. If we'd have lost on Tuesday, I'd be like, do I even want to go Saturday? So it's amazing how just one goal can have such a big difference in how you feel about it. And if the players feel the same, that's huge. That's huge because that can make a massive difference to how they perform on the pitch too.
Yeah, well, Stephen says, just look at the run that Orient are on. If they can do it, surely we can. And we've got to try and recreate what the mighty Leyton Orient have done. That's our aim now for the next few weeks. Right, let's hear what Nathan Jones had to say after the game up at Bolton on Tuesday. He spoke to BBC Radio London's Matt Newsom.
Nathan, that feels like an important win for so many reasons.
Oh, it is. I mean, first and foremost, we were miles off our levels on the weekend and got beaten by a good side. Beaten by a side that played really well on the day, and we didn't handle that. So it was really important to come at one of the most difficult places to come, because these are a good side, big budget, been together a long time, got very, very good players. So to come here on the back of that, to go 1-0 down and then to win the game showed massive character. They're a tricky side to play against. They play with one striker, packed the midfield, so they want to dominate the ball, so they make it difficult for you. We are aggressive, so we want to press everything, and at times we got it wrong for the goal. They counted well, and a player that they've spent well over £1 million on scored the goal, so it shows the quality they've got. But look, to show the character we showed, to come back, scored a wonderful first goal, got a little bit lucky with the second, but we went for the win. We wanted to go for the win, and we made changes to go for the win, and look, and we got it.
And I think you earn your own luck, don't you, by grafting, by putting the miles
I don't think we had any luck tonight, to be honest with you, because to be fair, they should have gone down to 9 men. 2 players should have got sent off tonight. The midfield boys got booked, and then he should have got booked again. If he hadn't got booked for the first one, he'd have got booked for the second one. So that means I feel that we were unlucky there. And then right at the end, it's a stamp. Should have been 9 men. Should have been far easier for us. So when you say earn your own luck, I'm not sure we got any luck tonight, apart from the deflection, which is the winning goal. But it could have been a different game anyway.
Yeah, in terms of the personnel you put out, and they've had some really long trips, haven't they? Some really tough trips. So for them to last as long as they did before you made the changes, which seemed to change the game, there were lots of players who everyone came out of this game with an awful lot of credit.
Oh yeah, and especially character more than anything, especially after the weekend when we've had a real tough, a tough game, tough loss. We didn't play well. The club backed us and we stayed up, but in the space of 7 days, we've had Preston away, Rotherham away, Bolton away. You won't get a harder week as a League One club. You won't get a harder week as a League One club, and we've come through that with real credit. We were excellent at Preston, should have won the game, but look, the FA Cup, we're not going to win the FA Cup. We were poor on the weekend, but I thought tonight we were aggressive. We could have been better with the ball, but we created enough chances to have scored 2, and we did.
And the energy that your subs did bring was massive, wasn't it?
Oh, and that's just a squad game, and we say that we call them game changers, not subs. So it was excellent. And look, I'm delighted because this is a tough place to come to. Not many people win here. The way they play, the players they've got, the bench they've got. Like, these are the top League One side, but we've done the double over them, so it shows that we're not bad either.
And for someone like Lloyd Jones to come up like that and poke a little goal in. When you've got players who are they're going beyond, aren't they, to do things like that?
Absolutely, but he's been outstanding all season. Apart from the weekend, he let himself down on the weekend, but he was outstanding tonight, and he's been outstanding. And the quality, he's done that the other, scored the winner at, I think it was Shrewsbury, Wigan away. Yeah. So he shows he's got that quality to be able to do that, and he's a leader. He's been excellent for me. I signed him at Luton. Didn't play as much as he would have liked, but he's matured now, and now he's essential to us.
And Chuck's coming on. I mean, he's had to be patient, hasn't he? And obviously it's great when you see him running around at the end and being a menace.
Well, look, I've had to be patient with Chuck's. I mean, if I could give Chuck's my hamstrings, my calves, my groins, then I would. You know what I mean? And then we'd be able to play him for longer. But look, he's always a handful. He's always a real tough side, a tough player to play against. And it's just a good night for us tonight. We needed to bounce back, and we did against. It's 2 real tough away trips, and I would have liked 4, but I'm happy with 3.
And I know you might be reluctant to talk about it, but what happened at the end with their manager? Did you see it?
Oh, no
Any
idea,
comment?
No idea. I have no idea. No. I know you might be able to tell me. I don't know.
Well, it looked like he approached some of your players and they weren't happy about it.
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to find out.
Yeah. And will it be nice to finally use your own car parking space back in the valley?
Well, it will, because I said we've had a tough thing. We've got 2 home games now, but look, this is a big win, but we have to capitalise on that.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the river. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live. This is the big match preview there. We just heard from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones, following the 2-1 win up at Bolton Wanderers on Tuesday night. In good spirits he was, especially with Matt Newsom as well from BBC Radio London doing the interview after there. He seemed to enjoy the fact that he'd commentated on a London team actually winning a game for the first time in ages, which was nice as well. Rostos saying it's lovely to see Nathan Jones doing his salute to the fans again. We need that togetherness if we want to go up. No one wants a manager who doesn't connect with the fans. I feel like he has his mojo back. Come on, you Reds. I get that frustration that he would have been feeling earlier on in the season, Nathan. I mean, I know it came out directed at the fans, but it would have been over the fact that we weren't doing very well. I think that's just the character he is, and I think he sort of directed that in the wrong direction. But now that everything's improving, then you can see that he's as Rostos says there, he's got his mojo back. He seems happier and more content.
Yeah, I think exactly that. I think when we've got to remember when he came in, like we were bad, like really bad defensively, and over the summer and even last season to an extent, he's made us a lot more harder to beat earlier in the season. Again, you start with your back, with your defence, and then you move to your forward. So we got the defence right, and then it seemed the team was struggling to make that transition of doing both. So I think that was a lot of the frustration. But we know what Nathan's like, very passionate where he is, and sometimes he says things and maybe doesn't mean it, maybe. But so he had a little bit of a go, and that's water under the bridge now, I assume, with most fans. But yeah, we know what he's like. He's very passionate, and he really wants to do well. And as you say, a lot of it was probably born out of the frustration because he knows what this team can do, and it's just trying to find that balance. Because at the moment we've gone from 2 extremes to the other, and he's desperate, just trying to get that balance for the squad to obviously make that last push.
Right. A couple of people asking about Lloyd Jones's contract situation. Stephen saying if he's essential to us, where is his new contract? And as Paul points out, I mean, Rich did put an article out on Monday suggesting there's good progress being made on Lloyd Jones's contract. Of course, what was the old saying? Until everything's done, then nothing is done. But until everything is agreed, nothing is agreed. But yeah, it sounds like hopefully that things will move in the right direction. We'll see how it works out. He's a footballer coming towards the back of his career, not quite there yet, obviously, but maybe waiting to sign his last big deal. So he might hang around to see what else is out there. That's just the way things seem to go with us, unless we put an offer on the table that's impossible to turn down. So we'll see if we can get to that situation, or if he tries to string it out or whatever. But as we saw on Saturday, he certainly seems to be enjoying, or on Tuesday I should say, certainly seems to be enjoying playing for the Addicts, scoring at Bolton for the 2nd year in a row as well, and then winding up a manager so much that he got himself sacked. Right, let's talk transfers. Nathan Jones was asked the question earlier on today. Obviously, we spoke about Teo leaving on Sunday. Since then, Terry Taylor has gone out on loan to Northampton Town as well. Let's just hear quickly what Nathan Jones has had to say on the transfer window earlier on today.
Has left us permanently. Tony Taylor joins Nathan Simway out on loan, so the squad size has come down a little bit. Are you on track for where you want to be in the window so far?
Yeah, we are. Look, as I said, it's not a big window, but it is a big window. What we want to do is streamline the squad and then add quality. So at the minute we have streamlined the squad. We wish Teo all the best. He never dropped his head. He kept it. It just didn't work out for him here since obviously I came in, and that's, I make no apologies for that. And I spoke to him constantly. He trained well. We always included him, and we wish him all the best because he's a wonderful footballer. He really is a real wonderful footballer. Nathan needs it for the development, to go out and to play. He's behind a few here, so the best thing is for him to go to a really good place. And let's be honest, there's not many better places for him to go, especially in League Two, than Walsall to learn his trade under a young manager who's doing very, very well, but also a side that's going to get promoted. So that's a great move for him. And then Terry was a real conundrum because he's really done well for us, when he's come in. He showed an immense professionalism, a character, a humility, and I've told him that, on many occasions, and I'm proud of how he's responded. He's been, really key to us with some big wins, in terms of the FA Cup wins, in terms of the win away at Bolton and so on. So he's played his part for us. It's just we have a few midfield players. I would like to bring in something, but we have midfield players here now. With the more midfield players you have, every time someone has a poor game, we tend to change. Whereas now, I wanted to go with a probably a slimmer selection in terms of the numbers, so that or a more streamlined selection, so that I put faith in these now, and then they have to respond and play well, over a number of games, regardless if they play well, regardless if they play fantastic. They're going to get the shirt now, and it's up to those to nail it.
There we go. Plenty to talk about there, Nave, but I guess we'll start off with what has happened. Obviously, like I said, we spoke about Teo over the weekend, but we haven't spoken about Terry Taylor. Sort of a lot of us were predicting earlier on in the window that if there was a deal to be done there, it would be done, and that's what's happened. So we've lost our best set piece taker. Have we lost much else?
Obviously, if he's not been playing, obviously when he's come in, he's done okay in certain games, but obviously Nathan sees it that he's looking for more of an overall package in the likes of Coventry and Dockett, and that's fine. For me, I'm fairly comfortable with it, providing we get something that we don't have. And I think I said on Sunday about getting something that's going to actually improve the 11 and not just get just a squad player, because that's exactly what Terry Taylor was when he was here. He was more or less a squad player. So it all depends on who we get in, if we do get someone in that sort of area for me. But yeah, Terry needs to play games. He's at that age now. What is he? Mid to early to mid 20s, isn't he, or something like that?
About 22, 23, I think.
Yeah, so he needs to play, and he deserves to be playing in League One. I think he's good enough to play, but at the moment he's going to find it hard to get Terry Taylor and the captain ultimately to get Terry Taylor, get Coventry and our captain Greg Dockett out of the team, and that's a big ask. And it's fair enough that he wants to go and play, so it's only fair that he goes and does that.
Patrick said Terry needed to go out on loan. We need to be looking upwards for top end League One Championship players, and he's not at that level yet. Isaac said, shame to see him go. I don't think he had a bad game for us this season, and better than Alan and Karoy, in my opinion. It was so trying to get better. So attacking midfielder, I think, is the area I've been told we're looking at. I think it's they're working on something, I've heard, but I don't know much more than that, and I've no idea who it is. Andrew saying Berry disappears too often as a midfielder, so I think it's that part of the pitch we're looking at, Tom, and I tend to agree with that. Like, Berry's such a weird one, because I'd say 75% of the time he's on the pitch, you don't realise he's there, but he is quite good at popping up in the right areas when he does. But I'd love a better hit rate than that.
I'd also like to know, I obviously don't just sit and watch him all game, but since that midfield three has been that midfield three, we've been winning a lot of games. So he must be doing something right, because the ball has been going through midfield. Okay, the end product tends to come from one of the sides through the likes of Tyrese or Small in particular. But he has got us goals this season. And like I say, he's now in a side that's winning games. So he must be doing a lot. I agree with you. I don't know what it is, because otherwise I'd be able to defend him and we wouldn't be having this debate. But he clearly is doing something in there. I agree with you. Generally, we do need someone else in there. If Terry Taylor's gone, Alan Campbell, I've been pretty consistent, and I just don't see that he offers us anything. And really, behind that, the only backup we've got really in that midfield is Karoy. So someone gets injured, and we're banging trouble. So I'd like to see at least one come into the midfield. I also worry about backup for Coventry because there's no one there now as well. So, midfield is one. And then the only other thing, which I've said before, is can we get somebody else as a pacey forward to play if Tyrese doesn't? I'm not suggesting we change shape and we put him at wing back or anything like that, but just somebody else so that we can take a little bit of the load off him. I know those players are hard to come by, so I'm not expecting someone to be conjured up out of nowhere. But if we got someone else like that in as well, a bit like Nath was saying earlier, a bit of a wild card or a maverick, that could be the difference between going up and not. So, yeah, I think defensively we're pretty solid. It doesn't look like we're going after another keeper now. And as I say, I thought Ash played all right on Tuesday night. But going forward, a couple of changes there, and I think that could be the difference potentially.
Lovely stuff. Right, let's start to look ahead to Saturday's home game with Shrewsbury. I'm sure we'll have plenty more transfer talk between now and the end of the transfer window. But yesterday, I was able to sit down with a good friend of the show, Dan from SALOP Cast, just to look at how Gareth Ainsworth's side have been getting on over the last few weeks. I'm delighted to say that we are joined by Dan from SALOP Cast once more. Good evening, Dan. How's it going?
It's okay, Louis. How are things for you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Thanks again for your time on Charlton Live this evening ahead of Saturday's game at the Valley. A Shrewsbury side who just seem to be turning the corner over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, turning the corners, I dare not say that, but we've definitely got a bit better. We've lost 1 in 6. There's still a hefty old gap between us and 20th place, but the gap's coming down, and we're a lot more positive than we were, say, middle of December.
What's been the difference? Can we put it down entirely to Gareth Ainsworth, the Gareth Ainsworth effect?
Well, I was going to say it starts with Gareth and ends with Ainsworth. Yeah, and it's always easy to come up with nice simple answers, but he's absolutely pivotal to it. He's got pretty much the same squad. He has brought in a goalkeeper who will not be playing international football anytime soon, but he's a bit more competent than the one we had. So Jamal Blackman, who's been at 14 clubs now, I believe, but he's been a lot more solid at the back. We've stopped conceding all of the silly goals, or at least most of the silly goals. And you know, when you only need to score 1 or 2 to win a game, it's a lot more straightforward than having to score 3 or 4, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think the difference is that he's made then? Is it purely working on that defensive side of the game?
Well, that's where he started, and we've gone to a back 3/5, however you want to explain it. And the back 3 looks like it's working. The 3 involved understand each other. The 2 Feeneys are not related, but the 2 Feeneys are decent enough. And Aaron Pierre, big, strong, sort of head it, kick it, centre half, has been in there as well. So that's where he started. In terms of moving forward, he's more likely to play 2 up front rather than 1. And that's helped both John Marquis and Georgie Lloyd, you know, sort of not be so lonely up front. So yeah, it starts at the back, but it's filtered through. I mean, we are far from being the real deal, but we are a little bit more solid than we were, and that's always a good basis, right?
Yeah, and last time out as well, it feels like ages ago now because that game was moved forward to Thursday for TV, but obviously a big win against local rivals, but B, also a Wrexham side who were obviously fancied in this division and a good side towards the top of the league. So I guess that must really fill SALOP with confidence ahead of the rest of the campaign.
Well, it's quite. I mean, I guess guys in the South East would have no idea about any rivalry between Shrewsbury and Wrexham, and I get that, but we were not the best of friends, Louis. It's proper rivalry. It's like Burnley-Blackburn. People in the South East have no idea how that's a really nasty rivalry. And I wouldn't quite say we're in the same bag as that, but we don't get on. We haven't played each other for quite a long time. Then we played each other in the FA Cup last year. We, I think we're the only club that didn't let Wrexham film their documentary in the ground. And we're not a soap opera, we're a football club. No, you're not doing it. So it's that level of pettiness that I like. I'm all for it. So, you know, they hammered us in September. They were much better than we were, but they're good at home. And on Thursday night, it was virtually a sellout, which, given how bad we've been, is quite an achievement. And to beat them, I thought pretty well, was a real pick me up. So it's gone down well on all fronts. The fans are over the moon with that. And fingers crossed, it's just another step towards Northampton, or dare I say it, Peterborough. I didn't think I'd be saying that, Louis, at this point in the season, but they're struggling too. So we're looking at baby steps, but they are at least steps.
Yeah, well, they've just signed Teo Eden from us, Peterborough, so that'll see him flying up the table. We gave away a penalty last night, which was quite funny. I'm looking at your away form. So obviously, we've spoken about 1 defeat in 6 overall, but I mean, your away form is still pretty hairy. You've had 3 draws on the road, 1 win on the road, and the rest. There's a lot of L's in that column. What is it that you struggle with on the road?
Well, it's been our defensive problems, and when Paul Hurst was in charge, once we went behind, it was sort of it. You could write us off. We weren't coming back. We did have the one outlier, which was an absolute mullering of Crawley 5-2, and we thought that might be a turning point in our away form, but it wasn't. It was just a freak result. What I would say is the last few away games, we lost 1-0 at Orient, who were they really impressed me. I have to say, they looked a really good team, so no complaints about that one. But we came from 2-0 down to draw at Wigan on the Saturday before Christmas. And we started to pick up points away from home rather than just get battered every week. So I think the story is a bit more positive than it was, but we have won 2 and drawn 1 of our last 3 home games. So that's going to keep us up, if anything, but we'll take whatever we can on the road. Simple as that, really.
Yeah, excellent. And just finally then, in terms of danger men, obviously, as you mentioned, John Marquis, a player that we know quite well at Charlton. He supports Millwall. He quite hilariously missed a penalty against us for Doncaster in the
he does that. He's missed 2 of them for us this season. He missed one against Wrexham.
Oh dear. Well, at least he made up for it, I guess. But I guess he'll be up there amongst the danger men. But who else is in the SALOP side that could cause us a few problems?
Well, Marcus is a funny one. I mean, you'll know all about him. I mean, pace, no. My 9-year-old's got more pace than John Marquis. Wherewithal, a bit more. Towsery, oh my days, world champion level. He's got all that. So, he can have days where he really does make an impact. We can have a lot of days where he doesn't. So to me, the issue is more about stopping goals. So Aaron Pierre, big centre half, he had to come off in the game against Wrexham. We need him to play. So oddly, I'd say if you're looking for our key men, look to see if Aaron Pierre's at the back. And if he is, then we will certainly be a bit more relieved in the away end. Moving forward, we've sold Tom Bloxham to Blackpool. He was our most potent attacking threat, but we sold him at the best time to sell him, 18 months on his contract. We've got quite a lot of money for him, actually. So I get it. It's a brave move by Ainsworth, but we have lost the most, sort of attacking force, and we hope we're going to reinvest a bit of that money, but we haven't yet. So Pierre's my man, and I hope that Marquis is doing the when we're 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go.
There we go. That's Dan from SALOP Cast and his potty mouth joining us on Charlton Live last night. Always a pleasure to have Dan on Goes Home and Away with SALOP, as you would do. Right, let's dive straight into Nathan looking ahead to the game as well, because we're running a little bit behind time. Nathan Jones asked to look ahead to this run of fixtures we've got at home, starting with the home game against Shrewsbury Town.
Just on the back of 3 tough away trips, long ones as well, we've now got 4 out of the next 5 at home. How important that's going to be?
Well, it'll be important that we capitalise. How important is we're home or not is nothing, but it's nice. It's nice enough because we've said probably the toughest week you can have as a League One side, really, going away to Preston, which is a tough place to go. They've showed since our performance they've picked up 4 points on the road, and then you go to Rotherham, who are probably the form team at the minute, and then Bolton, that are very one of the best sides in the league. So it's been a real tough week, but we are looking forward to getting back to the Valley. But what we have to do is make sure that we capitalise on that away performance and also the home games, because we've been away for a while now.
And talking about the squad, we've been lucky. Not lucky is probably not the right word, but we've been blessed with a full, fully fit squad in recent weeks. But the last couple of squads Gaston Hadmay hasn't figured. Is that selection, or has he picked up something?
No, look, we haven't been at full strength because obviously Tenai Watson and Kane Ramsey haven't been back to full fitness. They're now back to full fitness and back with the group. Gas, ironically, it was Tyrese that stepped on him in the warm up away at Preston, and then after the game his foot blew up, so that's why he's been out of the squad in the last two, sort of thing. Didn't travel with us, and has been having treatment, but that's just a stamp on his foot, which has been a bit of pain. So as I said, he's closer than what he was last week, for example. But yeah, that it wasn't selection. That was he picked up a minor injury by being stamped on, really.
I mentioned about the 4 games at the Valley coming up in 5. First of those, obviously, against Shrewsbury, a side that's just turned Wrexham over. So, what are you expecting? Clearly a tough one.
Well, it's Gareth Ainsworth's side, so there's zero. There'll be no quarter given. There'll be a side that will be well up for it. Had some fantastic battles with Gareth over the years, with his Wickham side and my Luton side, and I said done wonderful. Great to see him back in, and it'd be good to see him, albeit it'd be good to see him probably for 5 minutes before the game, and then afterwards we always have mutual respect with us. I think with the faceless the competitors have been over the years. I used to mark him when he played for QPR, and his teams are an extension of him in terms of the work rate and the desire that they go about their work. So it'll be the toughest of games. I can't pay him any more respect in terms of that. I hold him in high regard because every time we've played a side managed by Gareth Ainsworth, it's a very tough afternoon.
There we go. That's Nathan Jones looking ahead to Saturday's game with Shrewsbury at the Valley. I mean, as I said, we're looking at next 5 games, I think, all against sides in the bottom 10. That doesn't tell the full story because obviously Shrewsbury have picked up a little bit over the last few weeks. But effectively, what I'm saying is we're playing a load of rubbish teams over the next few weeks, Nathan. We have to target these games for wins, okay? And I'm starting Saturday, a Shrewsbury side that have had a run of results. They beat Wrexham last time out, but they come into the Valley. They're not good on the road. We've got, I think, how many games have we lost at home this season? Is it 2? I think not many. Like, we have got to make our stamp on this game, and we have to build upon that late win against Bolton.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying, Matt. Like you said, this for us to make any chance of making those playoffs, we have to, win in those little blocks. I mean, what have we got? 11 home games left. Only 2 of those are against top 6 sides. Half of them are in the bottom half, and then I think there's 8 of the 11 are in 8 of the 11 are in the bottom 12, and then half of the home games are in the current bottom 6. So if we're gonna make any sort of charge and flirt with Mrs. Playoffs once again, then yeah, we need to win these home games, and that's not putting the pressure on. Really, it is just basic logic. So yeah, we need to be winning these games if we're going to have a standard chance, and it starts on Saturday. Although it's going to be a tricky. I've got a feeling it's going to be another Blackpool situation where it's going to be very scrappy. They're going to make it scrappy, waste a lot of time, very direct. So I don't think it's be a pretty watch on Saturday by any stretch.
Yeah, well, Russell saying it'll be a good atmosphere Saturday. Every win is huge. 3-0 for him. John's got cousins coming down from the Bristol game on Tuesday, Bristol Rovers game, so very concerning. Yeah, coming down from Bristol. Patrick saying, was it last time that Shrewsbury came that we won 6-0? I think that was 2 seasons ago. Last season was the 1-1 draw when George Dobson scored. I think it was our last home game. Was it last home game of the season? Yeah, it might have been our last game of the season. I can't really remember, but yeah, it was Dobbo's last goal for us, certainly. Yeah, and then we went and lost at Wickham. Team news for us. So Ramsey back in the building. But Nathan didn't make any changes. He didn't make any changes again on Tuesday, I think, to start off with, if I remember correctly, Tom. So that's 5 games in a row now. I think that in the league that we've started with the same side. So the assumption will be therefore, unless Tyrese Campbell's gone around stamping on anyone else, that we won't be making any more changes.
Exactly that. Yeah, we've spoken a lot about that in the show, and I think that's right. He likes a settled squad. He likes that consistency, and rightly so, because it's proven with the results that we've had. So yeah, I think he's just going to be looking at, is anyone got any niggles? Is anyone just too tired? And if not, then I think they'll go ahead and they'll start the same. Why would you change it off the back of a result on Tuesday, unless you have to? So yeah, I think it's good, obviously, that Ramsey's back. It's good that the likes of Karoy obviously came on and got his goal. It's good that Chucks is starting to get minutes again. These are all positive things, but don't just chuck them in for the sake of it. We've got a good team. We've got a good balance across that team. We've already seen on Tuesday night that if we need to switch up in terms of shape, we can do that. And going back to Naif's point and the Blackpool game, I tend to agree. The important thing is, can we get that first goal? Because obviously there, against Blackpool, they score first. And dragged us into the gutter. But if we can score early, a bit like we did against Cambridge on Boxing Day, then we can maybe control the tempo of the game a little bit more. So, yeah, as always with Charlton games, that first goal is huge up until obviously Tuesday night where he finally managed to come back. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, the momentum from Tuesday makes you up for the game. And if like Rusto said, there is a bigger crowd and there's a good atmosphere, then yeah, it could be an opportunity to kick on again. And like I say, I think if all results went our way, we could be a point off the playoffs, right? I know that's a long shot, but it's potential. So you look at that, and Saturday afternoon, it could be an exciting time.
Lovely stuff. Right, Patrick says the only change I'd make this week would be to give Tyrese Campbell a break and let him come on from the bench, more mental fatigue, and start Godden instead. There we go. Right, we've run out of time on this week's Charlton Live, the big match preview. Spoken plenty about that great win at Bolton on Tuesday. And of course, we've looked ahead to Saturday's home game with Shrewsbury. Hopefully we can continue our really good run of form. Right, massive thanks to everyone who's joined us live on the live stream. Actually, we've had a pretty healthy number there, considering there was that thing with the club going on. So I'm sure you guys can watch the club thing after if you're really desperate to find out what's been going on. Or as Patrick points out, we've got Birmingham versus Wrexham to watch on the telly as well. So that might be more entertaining. Who knows? Right. Massive thanks as well to Dan, who joined us from SALOP Cast. Nathan and Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is, to see your beautiful faces.
Cheers, gentlemen.
I think I over-egged that a little bit, didn't I? But cheers,
No,
cheers for coming on. Yeah, lovely stuff. Right, I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Still. We'll be back on Sunday morning to look back at the game against Shrewsbury and ahead to Tuesday's home game with Bristol Rovers. We shall see you then.